Now, with that, Angel Reese said today, or a quote came out today where she said, "I'm not settling for the same stuff." She used a different word. We did this year. We have to get good players. We have to get great players. However, I can help to get the best here. That's what I'm going to do this offseason. She continued saying, I'd like to be here for my career, but if things don't pan out, obviously I might have to move in a different direction and do what's best for me." So, Dan, I kind of just want to flat out ask you this question, right? Because there is a lot going on in Chicago, not some good, most of it not that great though. If you were in charge, if someone waved a magic wand and said Dan Thompson is in charge of the Chicago Sky, what are three things you would do to guarantee the Sky have success, not just next season, but for the duration of Angel's career, maybe?
Number one, fresh eyes. New management seems to be necessary. Um, if you asked everyone in social media land, they would say new management as well. But I guess functionally, right, that's more of a philosophical approach thing. Decide whether your big you're going to build around is Angel or Kamilla,
Mm,
and then use the opposite asset to balance the roster more.
mm,
Um, they've got a lot of tremendous hoopers on the team, but you watch them, there'll be times where they're struggling to get the ball inside of the 3-point line, whether it's Ariel Atkins being hounded or Kia Nurse having to play a little bit more ball handling than would be ideal for her. And so that's one of my things. It's tough when you watch Sonia Citron play the way that she is right now to think, man, could you imagine future development if Sony and Angel were a thing? But it's kind of, playing an armchair quarterback to look back like that. But those are my two big things: is decided direction, not because Kamilla isn't tremendous, like what a tremendous playmaker out of the post and the length and the basketball IQ, but decide between those two and then solidify balance around your key cog. That would be my magic wand situation.
So you're of the mindset, because this is what I've been starting to think too, Marcus. So you're thinking, Dan, that it might be having to maybe choose between Angel and Kamilla?
Not because I don't think they could work,
Mm-hmm.
but because I think your timeline just gets incredibly long if you're trying to make that work as your pathway to contention.
Yeah.
So, do I think that they could play tremendously together with other pieces that were stronger on the roster? Yes. Do I think they will be able to get to that place in the next 3 years? No. Now, that's just an opinion. That's
Mm-hmm.
just an opinion. I love both of their games. I think they complement one another when they're both healthy, but the roster imbalance is just a tremendous issue. And we see that because Sloot goes out and, they've had a hard time supplementing their strength in the post this entire season.
So I've been super adamant on this. I think one thing that has to happen is, and Martin and I both agree that they do need a point guard. And in fact, we were talking a little bit before the show about will do the Sky have a lottery pick? Unfortunately for the Chicago Sky, they don't have a lottery pick. What is projected to be the third pick belongs to the Minnesota Lynx, who don't need that pick, but they're probably going to use it anyway. Um, I have been adamant over the last couple of weeks. I've said it on the show. I got into a back and forth over it with a bunch of people on threads a couple weeks ago about my displeasure, for lack of a better word, with the limited usage or almost lack of usage of Haley Van Lith, especially after Sloot gets hurt. This team needs a point guard. You have a point guard on the roster who has experience playing with Angel. More importantly, can play the position. And it's not like I had a couple people tell me that she's not built to be a point guard. I had a couple people tell me she's not built to be a point guard in the WNBA. A couple people just flat out told me that she's not a good point guard. And I just don't understand how you can watch Haley Van Lith's collegiate career and come to that conclusion, right? And I'm not saying, look, Martin and I, we spent a lot of time heading into this season Martin more so than I was, talking about how much Chicago needed Olivia Miles, right? Before Olivia Miles announced that she was transferring instead of declaring for the draft. I am by no means saying that Haley Van Lith is on the level of Olivia Miles, and I am not saying that Haley Van Lith is the caliber of point guard that Olivia Miles is. But what I am saying is don't draft Haley Van Lith in the first round of this year's draft, and then Courtney Vandersloot gets hurt, and you don't play her. Like, there's no whether you think she was a project or a raw prospect or not fully ready or not, there's no way your team has a gaping hole at point guard and her minutes don't increase. There's no way. Like, this is the second time in 3 years that Haley Van Lith has been in a situation that going into it looked promising. Going into it, a lot of people were excited to see her in this new situation, right? At first was her transferring from Louisville to LSU. Now it's her rival in Chicago. And in both of those instances, it's not worked out for one reason or another. And I think the Sky are going to regret not having given Haley Van Lith an opportunity to actually play meaningful minutes. She had, I think, 4 or 5 games where she played at least 20 minutes. And, she didn't play great in those games, but if you're judging how well she played in those games by her scoring production, then sure, she didn't play great. But in all of those games, she had multiple assists. In a couple of those games, she had multiple assists, multiple rebounds, and a couple steals as well. She was doing a little bit. I think they're going to grow to regret that. And if I were a decision maker, one thing I would absolutely do, because odds are they're not going to get one of those elite game-changing point guards in the draft, is keep Haley Van Lith and actually put her out there and see what she can do. We've watched her be. That is a move that will baffle me. It has baffled me off season, and it will continue to baffle me until I can get a reasonable explanation as to why that didn't happen.
Yeah, lately watching her, for me, she does look a little small out there. I mean, she could use the reps and the time. Again, Sloot goes down. You don't have a whole bunch of better options as far as veterans or just a surefire replacement there. They could have given her more run this year. I think she can shoot the ball. She can handle the ball. Again, watching the games, she does look a little small out there. She might need 1 or 2 years to really put it together for herself. But part of that could be, again, just the lack of really getting those game reps heavily this year. I'm looking at free agency. It's obviously not going to be the draft, and I don't think it's on their own team. I have said I do think Haley can be part of the equation, but we also, like we said, we agree she's not she's not the kind of point guard that we think they actually need. Right. So based on Angel's quote, even, I think their only option and their best option is to use Angel as their recruiting ploy in free agency. They need to position Angel, encourage her to do her thing, to encourage there's a long list of free agents in 2026. And I have some names down here, all guards, all going to be free agents. And I would say each of them, I could make an argument, maybe could have a reason to walk away from their team, maybe look for a different environment, more particularly to go and play with Angel Reese. Jackie Young, Kelsey Mitchell, Ryan Howard, Ray Burrell, Veronica Burton, Arike Agumbawale, and Chelsea Gray. Those are just 7 names, and there are more good players who are free agents next year. Those are just the best ones that I mapped out and saw as the best ones who also might be a little realistic if they're looking for a new situation next season. Those are the kind of names and players that Chicago and Angels should have at the top of their list, looking to recruit as free agents next year.
I wish they would have. I don't know what has or hasn't been reported, but the way that the season went in Dallas with coaching and alignment in terms of just, it felt weird. You've seen the faces of the players on the bench when we draw stuff up.
Just and weird.
Arike in particular is a name I would have loved to see the Sky look into around the trade deadline this year. Obviously, movement in the W is a lot more complex because of the hard cap situation. But when I watch Haley, to y'all's points, I see someone who looks not overmatched, but definitely a half step behind the physicality of the WNBA right now.
Yeah.
And so you watch her play. And so if the writing's on the wall with how terrible this season is going to go, the best time to develop a player was yesterday.
That's right.
And, you know, it's tough when you're rolling out some of these lineups where it's like, you know, not bad players by any means, but like your future is not with Rachel Bannum.
Right.
It's not. As much as I love watching her hoop,
and she can hoop, and she can hoop. Yeah.
She's a microwave.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just over and over you're watching and saying, man, like from the backcourt standpoint, it looks like the Sky are overmatched physically over and over again. And it's created a scenario where it can't be ideal from a basketball standpoint, no matter how good your relationships may or may not be.
It's funny because you said Chelsea Gray, and like I know that I had before the Aces went on this stretch of wins, I had mentioned like maybe Chelsea Gray should be, like, maybe Chelsea Gray should be traded to Chicago. I don't like the idea of Chelsea Gray not being an ace for obvious reasons, but I like the idea of Chelsea Gray playing with Angel. We saw how that worked out for them on Unrivaled. The Enrique thing is interesting to me. I think to your earlier point, Dan, it would definitely likely lead to Kamilla being traded, probably, because if you're gonna, unless they just flat out sign her, it probably might end up being into a sign and trade situation, right? If it does evolve into that, you probably see Kamilla Cardoso out the door. So like maybe we also get to see what just Enrique and Angel looks like. I know that Martin and I, we've talked about this a lot of like they absolutely need a point guard, but also looking at the team itself, like there are so many other things that they have to worry about.
Sure.
Well, like I almost wonder if maybe, and again, I don't mean to harp on this point, but I also wonder if like maybe if because of their lack of investment in Haley this season, we've almost kind of ignored the other things that they need because they've kind of had a bunch of players playing out of position just to kind of, rather than putting out like the best lineup that makes sense position wise, like more often than not, they were just putting out who are the 5 best players on our team who are healthy and available for this game. Those are the players who will start. We'll figure out the rotations from there. And again, like whether that's a management thing or that's a Coach Marsh thing, I don't know. But what I do know is Angel Reese is only going to continue to get better, right? We're seeing that. She came back after missing 3 weeks of basketball, and she had back-to-back double-doubles, including a 2020 game or a close to a 2020 game, like against Liberty. She played really, really well. She is amongst the league leaders, if not still tied with Asia and AT for leading the league in double-doubles, despite having missed 7 games and playing nearly 10 less games than Asia and AT. Like she's playing really well. She's going to get better. Sometimes I worry that the Sky won't be able to get out of their own way. Right, they hired Teresa Weatherspoon. We were all really pumped, and she's gone a year later. You bring in Tyler Marsh, like okay, it kind of makes sense as to why you would do that, considering where he's coming from. But you look at what we've gotten this season, and it's like you can't even look at the product they put on the floor this season and say that they've been bad because Sloot went down and Angel missed time and Ariel missed time. Because even with Angel and Ariel healthy, they've still looked god awful. They've still looked like one of the worst teams in basketball. Yep. So it's like if you let go of Teresa Weatherspoon when they were closer to making the playoffs last season than they are this season, what would be the justifiable reason to give Tyler Marsh another shot other than it's his first year and he's coming from Vegas, so you're expecting him to bring to Chicago what he had? Like, you know what I mean? Like it's a really weird goings on in Chicago. And again, them not having their own lottery pick. I mean, Martin and I were talking about it before the show. They do have the 5th pick, it seems like, which I guess may or may not be a lottery pick, depending on how they rearrange it with the 2 new teams running in 26. But if they don't have a shot at getting a point guard, like you're drafting best player available at 5, who is best player available at 5 at that point when this team needs so much? You know what I mean? Like they're still not really going to be able to clean up all the things they need to clean up to be competitive next year.
They just need offensive boost, period. There was a point earlier in the year where I was looking through all their game logs and saw like they hadn't had a single player take over 14 attempts in a game, like into a really significant chunk of the season.
Mhm.
And the point that I had made, I forget when I posted, was like, hey, look, like you've got this egalitarian offense that Marsh wants to run. But if you have to rely upon on what is relative to the rest of the league, a really talent poor roster to all contribute, then your chunks of offense aren't going to be coming if you just don't have anyone who's even taking the shots.
Right.
And that's since changed, but they, from a scheme standpoint and from a roster standpoint, and from a talent standpoint, I mean, that's the same as roster. It's bleak.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, I think it goes back to your very first point, Dan, and everything you just said, Marcus, I think goes back to that. It's fresh eyes. It is looking like time for fresh eyes. Like, you can't have and Chicago, the franchise, I mean, since they won the title in 2021, I don't want to say it's been downhill, but like like Candace is gone, Kali is gone. Like, it's kind of felt like one thing after another, and they haven't shown to bounce back and be a competent championship franchise since they won the championship. And now they have this moment with Angel. I also don't want to discredit or discount, like, because we've talked about just Angel as like an anomaly of a player. And I think that applies when you think about you need I don't even want to just say smart people, sure, but like, you need people who really are invested in how to build around her game, because it's an unorthodox game. She's not Asia, she's not Fee. Like, it's not just going to be like a kind of simple one fits all. Oh, just put shooters around her. Like, it's not going to be that simple. Like, you need the right kind of formula here, and not to say it's got to be perfect, but you've got to. Building around Angel Reese is going to be a different kind of project than building around your typical, power forward or dual forward type of player, So going along with her development has to come a development in thinking of how do we maximize the players around her. There's got to be fresh eyes somewhere. I don't know if it's the GM. I don't know if it's the coach or whatever, but they've got to get some kind of fresh eyes in there. Because last week on the show, Dan, we did this little exercise where we just threw out different teams that, not to say that we would expect a trade or this is what but just teams where we felt like right now today, Angel would be a better fit in terms of being herself and shining and contributing to winning basketball. So we did that exercise in response to more and more people saying, yo, this may not be the best situation for Angel. And now she's saying it herself, like, hey, if this doesn't get better, like, I'm out of here. Like, why wouldn't I look to go somewhere else?
In my mind, like, if I had my druthers, because she's one of my two favorite players in the W, it would be if there was a way for them to get like guard power and send her to be the 5 to Asia's 4.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I mean,
Could you imagine her snaring like 14 boards and then, like, screw it, if she gets 8 points, if she gets 16 points, it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter. Look at what Nalissa Smith is doing for Asia.
Like, she's playing system-wise some of the best basketball of her career. I know the numbers have been gaudier in the past, but when I watched she had this block the other night where I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Sorry, got me nerding out for a second, just thinking, like, because I love this guy because they're like geographically my team, but I don't have affinities for franchises that are inanimate things more than the players who are the compelling reason why we watch the game.
That's right. Preach that, Dan. That's what I try to tell Marcus. Don't get caught up in that fandom.
Let me just. Well, can we all just
coming?
First of all, I'm a fan of the teams I'm a fan of because of specific players. I just want to make that note. Like, when Asia Wilson retires, I'll probably stop being an Aces fan. But for now, because she's the reason I watch women's basketball in the first place, absolutely.
Touche. No, touche.
I'm an Aces fan.
Bro, can you? I mean, if they mess around, if Vegas figures out a way to get Angel next to Asia, oh my God. First of all, just the branding, big A, little A. I mean, that stuff's just gonna take care of itself. Basketball wise, my God, that will take Asia up to like 4, 5, 6, 7 titles. I'm telling you that. The only thing because I've seen people do like jersey swaps. People have kind of projected Angel like on the Liberty or on the Lynx, like they'll put her on one. I wouldn't want her. I wouldn't want to see her on one of those top teams, because I feel like it's just going to turn into this narrative of, you know, if she does win or she does well, it's like, well, she got transplanted onto one of the top teams. So that's the only narrative I would like to avoid for her. But from a winning standpoint, I would just love to see her in a competitive culture with other good players. If Chicago can't hit this free agency list, she's gone in 2027 when her contract is up, as far as I'm concerned. Or if they don't trade Kamilla and just try something. I mean, they've been trying things, but they haven't been good things. They haven't been good tries. Like, the only moves they need to be making now are swinging for one of a big name guard, one of these big name guards. It's not going to be in the draft. It's got to be free agency.